Good afternoon, good morning to those tuning in to the show right now. I am your host, as you all know, Tavares Wilson, and guess what, y'all? Y'all know I get the last word. Y'all know that. Thank you all for tuning in once again. I know I've been on a sort of a hiatus of late, haven't been posting, things came up, family issues and concerns came up, but I am back now, so let's just get straight into it, guys. But before we get into the episode, y'all be sure to like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. We'll be posting this there as well. If you aren't listening to it right now on YouTube, we probably will be listening to it on the podcast streaming services, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify. Doesn't matter. Just look me up, Last Word Productions. I guarantee you find me there. But as we all know, the NBA players had commenced this past weekend, and let's get into it and some of my thoughts in some of these series. Every team has played their first game, and let's jump right into the Hawks versus Heat series. And I want to talk about this series specifically because I believe this is the one series where it won't be competitive at all. And I mean that's even including the Suns Pelicans series and the Nuggets and Warrior series. I believe the Pelicans and Nuggets can both either squeeze out a game, maybe even two, but the Hawks I see being swept, like clearly swept. And the reason I say that is because I simply do not know if they have the veteran experience or wherewithal and just downright grit to go up against such a hard-nosed defensive team that Miami is. And today's game showed me that Trae Young had statistically one of his worst games ever, if not his worst game of his career. He went 1 for 12 shooting, 8 points in the game. And simply put, he was not effective at all. He wasn't the Trae Young we're used to seeing with the razzle-dazzle, deep three balls, pretty flashy assists. He just wasn't that. He was absolutely shut down the entirety of the game. And what made it worse, the Heat didn't have such a fantastic game either. I mean, Bam Adebayo, who by all means you can argue is their best player, but clearly their second best player, had, I believe, 5 points on the night, only took, I believe, 5 shots. If I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and pull up these stats real fast, make sure I'm right. He had 6 points and took 5 shots. Okay, so I was close. And then on top of that, Kyle Lowry only finished with 10 points. Tyler Hero, who has by all means been their best scorer this season, finished with 6 points on 3 of 11 shooting. I mean, this is a team that did not play well. In fact, they only had 2 players go for 20 points or better, and that was Jimmy Butler and Duncan Robinson, who came off the bench. So this is a team that Victor Oladipo did not play. Duncan Robinson and Jimmy Butler were the highest scorers on the team. And then on top of that, you got guys who usually perform at a high level who did not perform at a high level, like Bam Adebayo, like Tyler Hero, and even Kyle Lowry to an extent. Because I may not be in love with Kyle Lowry as a player, but he can very well, give you more than 10 points on average. So it just seems a bit troubling and worrisome. If I was a Hawks fan, this is not a good look at all. I mean, you got beat by a team that was struggling in terms of scoring by 20 points. I just don't know how much better this series is going to be for them because, yes, Trae Young not going to play horribly every game. I understand that. But let's say if Trae Young even has a decent game against 20 points. You lost by 20. You lost by 24. You still lose the game. I mean, I'm just saying, like it's real touchy and hard to say this team has any glimpse of hope to even win a game this series. It would take an explosive performance from Trae Young and another player. Not an average game, not a game where you like, oh, this guy's having a really good night. No, you need a guy and Trae Young to both have a great night for this team to win a game this series. So, other thoughts on the series? I'm gonna get into 2 series that I posted. If you all follow me on TikTok, if you don't, it's Last Word Productions. Y'all go follow me there. I post most of my content there now. But I posted on TikTok, I believe it was about, I think it was Saturday or Friday I posted it, and I stated that I believe the two series to keep an eye on that are on upset alert are the Memphis Grizzlies against the Timberwolves and the Celtics against the Nets. Now, the Celtics are the second seed, but no one really believed the Celtics can win this series. And just like how the Grizzlies have been hot all season, no one believed that the Timberwolves could win this series. And I posted and I told people, do not be shocked if the Celtics and Timberwolves were to win these series. And some people I know, close friends, mutuals, things of that nature, told me I was basically insane, that I was crazy. That there's no way a Kyrie and KD duo is losing to the Celtics. There's no way the Grizzlies, who had the most impressive regular season win of all time, is losing to the Timberwolves in the playoffs. And well, I know it's a long series. I know it's not over yet. I know it's best out of 7. I get all that. But both teams started off with victories over the teams. And what makes it worse for the Grizzlies' case is that they were at home and lost by 13. I mean, again, it's one game. I'm not going to sit here and say I was right about anything, but what I am saying is I was right about the fact that I said these series were going to be more competitive than what people gave it credit for. And it's starting to already show fruition to what I said, because of the simple fact that for the Grizzlies series, I told people both teams are inexperienced. Both teams don't have any true experience in playoff success. Both teams are young, gritty, hungry, and this series is going to come down to who simply wants it more and who is going to get the most crucial buckets down the stretch. That's literally what the first game came down to, because the entirety of the game, I believe it was about 5 or 6 lead changes for large stretches of the game. There was only about a 2 to 4 point difference in who was leading and, deficiency. So it wasn't by any means a game that was a blowout, even though they won by 13. But it turned out to be exactly what I said it would be. These teams are both inexperienced, and both teams will have to show their matureness and want to win this series. Now, on to the Celtics and the Nets. Now, I'm not going to be shocked at all if the Celtics win this series. Don't get me wrong, I still had the Nets winning this series. I don't believe the Celtics beat them. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Celtics put off an upset. Simply put, I mean, the Nets have not played together by any means of imagination long enough to build exactly a repertoire or continuity with one another. Now, they're playing off of just pure talent and skill right now. They don't really know how to coexist with one another right now. But that will come. And to be honest, I'm not giving them that excuse because of the simple fact that they're all professionals. They all know what basketball is. They know what it takes to win. Kevin Durant is a champion. Kyrie Irving is a champion. LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, Bruce Brown, Seth Curry. Like, these guys are all veteran players. It doesn't take long to gel and know how a guy plays. They got to get the job done, period. And the Celtics are emerging and peaking ever since the end of the All-Star break. So it's hard to sit here and say you can just write them off when they're clearly the more organized team, better team chemistry. They don't have the talent the Nets have. That's of course, but this is still a very well-rounded team. Jason Tatum had a phenomenal first game. Jaylen Brown, another really good first game for him as well. Marcus Smart, I thought, did every single nitty-gritty thing he needed to do to make the difference in the games. And this is going to be a tough series for the Nets because of things like that. you have to take in consideration in the fact this is a team that has more continuity than you are and has more camaraderie than you are. They understand each other. They know what one person likes and don't like, where they can set them up, how they'll roll, how fast they'll roll coming off a screen. They know whether this person is willing to spot up and shoot or they're a slasher. It's like there's just the little intricate details that defines teams, and I just don't believe the Nets have that yet. They can get that, but right now the Celtics are just on a different level in terms of chemistry with one another, and that's to me the biggest reason why that they could win this series, and also just because of their defensive effort, honestly. But another series, the Jazz beat the Dallas Mavericks, who will be without Luka Doncic again for Game 2. Not looking good for the Mavs so far. Hopefully Luka can come back for Game 3. But if he doesn't come back for Game 3, this is a sweep. I mean, I hope he does come back, because if he doesn't, they're getting swept. Then you got the Nuggets against the Warriors. I know it wasn't pretty at all for Nikola Jokic and the team, but at the end of the day, you're down your next best player, Jamal Murray. Then you're down your another next best player in Michael Porter Jr. So what can you do? It's just next man up. No, it's not going to work. It's not. You don't have as many people on a basketball team as you do a football team. You have the same mentality all you like, but you can't keep losing that kind of talent and just expecting things to be fine. Like I said, I still think the Nuggets could pull off a victory in this series, but I definitely don't have them winning this series. Same thing with the Raptors and the Sixers. Now, I did say earlier that, let me tell you all how much of a sweep I think the series will be. I did say earlier I think the Hawks will be the only team to get swept. It completely just, my mind was just completely blanketed and blank when it came to this series. That's how much I believe in the Raptors. The Sixers are going to mollywop them each and every game. There's not a doubt in my mind that the Sixers aren't going to sweep the Raptors. And even just the first game showed me that the Raptors can't do anything. I mean, Tyrese Maxey went out and had probably the best game of his career. Dropped 38 points on 14-21 shooting. James Harden posted a double-double, 22 points, 14 assists. Then you had Joel Embiid would post his own double-double, 19 points, 15 rebounds. Didn't have a great shooting night, just so did James Harden, but they had good all-around basketball games. And that's what superstars do. When your shot isn't falling all the time, you got to find other ways to contribute. Joel Embiid getting 15 rebounds. James Harden getting 14 assists. That's what you have to do. Find other ways to be successful so your team can be in the best position to win. Now, for any other series, the Bulls and the Bucks, it was actually a pretty entertaining game throughout the game. I actually watched this game. And by the way, guys, I will start live streaming on YouTube. So I will be broadcasting and commentating some games. I'm going to start that. I may start that next round because I do work, you all. I'm not going to lie to you all. But you know what? Let's say this. I'm going to start this up either Saturday or Sunday. So next weekend, I'm definitely going to stream for sure. Which games, that shall be determined depending on the times. But I will let you all know. And on either TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, I'll post when and where I will be streaming. Now, with that being said, again, pretty entertaining game. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan both had underperforming performances. And I know it's one game, but I am kind of disappointed in what Zach LaVine inputted, because this is a guy I've been begging the table on, saying that if he gets to the dance, he's going to just wow the crowd. And he didn't do that today. I mean, he didn't play god awful, but he definitely ain't play his best game. This is a guy who is a 50, 40, 85 guy. He went out here, 18 points, solid. He He had 10 rebounds. Again, really solid. 3 assists. Okay. 6 for 19 shooting on 2 for 10 from 3. That's where the drop-off comes in, and that's when it's terrible. Now, this is one game. Could have been nervous. First time in the playoffs. I'm not giving him excuse. I'm just saying this is one game. If it happens game 2, then I will start to get a bit more worried about him being under the bright light. But, again, one game. We shall see how things play out for him down the stretch in this series. Do I have them winning this series? Absolutely not. But I do think this will be a competitive, fun series to watch if him and DeRozan can get it together as a duo. And the last series to speak on, I already briefly covered this, but the Pelicans and the Suns. Chris Paul, fun fact, became the oldest player in NBA history to have a 30-10 point and assist game in the playoffs, being out Steve Nash to do it. So, again, congrats to Chris Paul for that. And if I'm being honest with you all right now, I've underrated this team. I said I thought the Suns' fluke of a playoff finals run last year was a fluke. But I think they go back. I mean, I don't really see a team out west that I could say I have confidence in to beat them. I just don't see it. Now, could they lose? Absolutely. Anyone could lose any given night. But as it stands right now, I don't see this team losing to anyone out west in the playoffs. Now, with all that being said, these are going to be some fun playoffs to watch simply because it feels different. It's a different look. Got new superstars coming in, old ones returning, trying to have a chance of redemption. We're going to see how it looks. But with all that being said, I want to get off into the NFL offseason. I have not spoken about some of the crazy moves that have been occurring. And just to be quite honest, it's felt like NBA offseason, and I love that. I mean, of course you don't love seeing your favorite players move, but I love seeing teams improve because I'm an NFL fan first before anything. I love seeing the Chargers go to get Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. As a Dolphins fan, I hate it, but as a football fan, I enjoyed it because I want to see great teams. I do. And as a Dolphins fan, y'all know I'm going to bring up Tyreek Hill. Y'all know I'm going to bring up Teron Armstead. Fantastic moves by Chris Greer. I've been giving him a lot of heat the past 3 years especially, but he had a really great offseason this season. They went out and got their number one. Went out and got a franchise left tackle. They went out and got a new left guard as well. So now you solidified your left side of the ball to the point where it's one of the best left sides in all of football. Now, with that being said, you also went out and got 2 running backs with Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds. You franchised Mike Gesicki. So what does that mean? A lot of weapons, a lot of new protection. I heard a lot of people saying, well, they still need a tackle. They still need this. They still need that. They need a center. They need a go. Listen, I'm saying this because a lot of people who are saying this are certain fans of a certain player that's on the Dolphins. And he plays quarterback. His name is Tua Tagovailoa. Let me say this before I say my next point. I love Tua. I wish nothing but the best for Tua. I want Tua to succeed. I've brought a jersey the moment they released them online. I spent $140 on a jersey. I've never bought a jersey in my life up until him. I always supported Tua. I want to see Tua succeed because of his story and because of what he's endured in his life. But, ladies and gentlemen, I will not sit here and lie to you all. I will never do that because that would be disingenuous and dishonest of me. Tua has not been the player that I thought he would be. Simple. Let's just call it what it is. Everyone's saying he's a winner. He wins games when he's not winning games because he's the most impactful player. He's winning games because he's not losing most games he's in. He's managing games. You didn't pick at number 5 to get a game manager. You picked someone who would become a franchise quarterback. And I'm sorry, game managers are not franchise quarterbacks. People always allude to the fact that, well, Tom Brady was a game manager with the Patriots. Tom Brady was a game manager in games where they had game plans for him to simply just, let the defense do its thing. We're going to run the ball. You're going to throw quick routes. Boom. But when the Patriots needed the most, they needed whether it was a drive, whether it was a touchdown, whether it was to get in field goal range. When did Brady ever buckle? When did Brady ever fold under pressure? Never. Why? Because he isn't a game manager. Game managers are literally just that. They can never overachieve and be great in any moments. It may happen once or twice and catch lightning in a bottle, but on a consistent basis, no, never. And Tua has not been that. That's the issue. You drafted this guy 5th overall to be the difference maker, not to have everything around him in order to look good. He has to now show he can be what he was at Alabama. The most accurate quarterback in college history. One of the best deep ball throwers you've ever seen. Pretty athletic, heart of a warrior, great leader. You have to put that on full display this season. If it's not on full display this season, I'm sorry. I think Tua time is over in Miami. They're not about to waste Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, these guys' best years waiting for Tua. They're just not. These moves clearly, if they showed you anything, guys, they showed you this team is trying to stock up to win now. They're not going to continuously wait on a quarterback who hasn't figured it out yet. It's just not going to happen. So let's move on to other news. The Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. And I said this from the jump. The team that trades for Deshaun Watson wins the trade. I don't care what you give up. I don't care who you give up. You traded for a guaranteed top 3, top 4 quarterback in the league and who's 26 years old. I believe he's 26, 25 years old. You win. He's going to be fantastic for you for the next 10 or 12 years. You win. Even if because it was rumored he was going to be suspended 7 games, you still win. You win. Because at the end of the day, you didn't trade for him for just next season. You traded for him for the next 10 or 12 years. You win. There's nothing else to say. You won the deal. And the Browns are getting flake for trading the picks, giving them fully guaranteed contract. It doesn't matter. The guy, and let me address something that's off topic real fast. As you all know, I am a Dolphins fan. I am a huge Dolphins fan to the point where name a podcaster who talks about the Dolphins, I guarantee I listen to them. Whether it's Big O, whether it's Dolphins Talk, whether it's Locked On Dolphins, whether it's the Fins podcast, whether it's the Fin side, whether it's the Sun Sentinel, Omar Kelly and Dave Hyde, whoever, Skaggs, even the lower guys, like, TD Fin Talk, Dudley Duran, whoever, I promise you, name any of them, and I guarantee you I've listened to them at least once. And let me say this. Now, I am going to call out names because, truth be told, I'm a direct person, and I hold people accountable to their actions and words. So, this specific part I'm going to say is dedicated to Big O, who I have a lot of respect for. I love Big O. I love his show. Tom Ernest from the Dolphins Talk show and the Same Old Dolphins show, both co-hosts, Mike and I can't remember the other guy's name. My apologies, man. No disrespect. And also Ian, that would be on Dolphins Talk sometimes with Mike and Tom. Now, why do I name these guys? Well, guys, because simply put, these gentlemen told me multiple times, well, not me specifically, but told the audience specifically, they should not trade. And to sum up their arguments, they shouldn't trade for Deshaun Watson because this guy's a monster, essentially. No 20-something women, all of them can't just be lying. All of them are not just fibbing for money. Some of them got to be telling the truth. I don't want to root for a guy that's involved in such accusations. Again, accusations. Let me just make sure I'm reiterating that. Accusations who is involved in, again, accusations to the point where it will ruin the franchise's brand. And also, handicap the franchise the year that they were talking about trading for him. Now, let me say this. First off, you think any of those guys complain about the Dolphins trading for Tyreek Hill, who is proven and found guilty to have beaten his pregnant girlfriend back in college? You think any of those guys even mentioned that or said or threatened to say they weren't going to support the Dolphins anymore? No. Now, in Ian's defense, he said he would talk to his wife about not going to the games anymore if they were traded for Deshaun Watson, and because he would feel a way about, what is happening or what he was a part of, or is a part of, I should say. The issue that I have with his words, though, is the fact that the only time he brought up the fact that he had to speak to his wife about the season tickets they hold for Tyreek Hill was when asked about it. With Deshaun Watson, he straight up said it, that, yeah, man, I got to decide whether or not I still want to go to the games. But why not make that a point of emphasis in your main points against Tyreek Hill on the team now? Same thing with Tom on the same show. He wouldn't even address Deshaun Watson by name, calling him the Houston's quarterback. Because, again, accusations and false claims that have proven to be false. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you believe. The legal system said this guy did nothing. The legal system. If you feel as if you're above the legal system for whatever reason, God bless you. You're not. Simply put, you're not. That goes for Tom. That goes for the Sam Dolphins show co-host. No disrespect to these guys. None whatsoever. I'm not saying don't go listen to them. I'm not saying they're jerks or whatever. I'm not saying that. I just think it's real hypocritical and ignorant of them to be excited and thrilled about the move for Tyreek Hill, a guy who was accused and found guilty and suspended for actually beating a woman versus not wanting to support a guy for accusations that were going on for a year and a half almost, and nothing was proved against him. That's all I'm saying. I mean, at some point, can we just call a hypocrite and a spade a spade? That's all I'm saying. Now, again, this is no hate to any of those gentlemen. None at all. But all I'm saying is it has to be known that there are hypocrites in the Dolphins fan community, and it's because of Tua and the support of Tua and this ignorant and just blind support of the team. Big O with the same things, falsely accusing Deshaun Watson to be something that he has proven not to be. I mean, Big O even stated that just because you're not found guilty to me, you didn't do it. Bro, you're not a judge. You're not a prosecutor. You're not a lawyer. Stop. I love Big O, but people want him to be guilty. I don't even know if they truly believe he is. I think they just want him to be guilty to get him to have got him out the limelight of the Dolphins and just straight up give Tua the shot they feel as if he deserves. Because Big O literally said out his own mouth, no matter when the Dolphins trade Tua, because everyone thought last season Dolphins was going to trade Tua regardless of what happened with Deshaun Watson. Big O literally said out of his mouth he's been a fan of the team for like 30, 40 plus years, something along those lines. Instead, he never once rooted for another team. But if they were to trade Tua, that would be the first time he root for another team. And I just said, bro, at this point, you're not a Dolphins fan then. You're a Tua fan. If you feel that strongly about a guy and you're willing to support a team strictly because of that guy, not just like the guy, the player on that team, to support the team, you're just a fan of that player. You're just a fan of that player. You're not a true fan of that team that he was previously on or is on. So, again, no hate whatsoever towards any of those guys. I have no gripe or any quarrel with any of them. But I just find it funny how a lot of people were just down the Dolphins' neck for Deshaun Watson rumors, but they're just spick and span about Tyreek Hill being traded for. I just find it funny, and I find it a bit hypocritical. But in other NFL news and other trades and signings that happened this year that truly shocked me, or was just great. First of all, the entire AFC West has just grown into a powerhouse. Russell Wilson with the Broncos absolutely just put them in contention. Then you got Davonta Adams to the Raiders. Now, I don't think this will make the Raiders contenders, but at the end of the day, they got better. When they got Davonta Adams and Chandler Jones to pair with Max Crosby, you got better. Simply, you got better. And then you look across the rest of the league. You got the Chiefs who, even despite the fact that they're down Tyreek Hill, they still have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So the AFC West is definitely loaded, guys. Make no mistake about it. They're loaded. And if we're being honest with ourselves, that any team in that division can win that division. I'm not saying that the Raiders will win the division because I highly doubt they will. But the Raiders are competitive in majority of their games and can win majority of their games. So I wouldn't be shocked. That's all I'm saying. And to make matters worse, the whole entire AFC has gotten better. Von Miller to the Bills, hated as a Dolphins fan. Then you got, Then you got the Ravens getting better. One of the signings they had that I really liked for them was getting Marcus Williams, the safety who I've always said was very underrated, one of the better safeties in this league. AFC looking loaded, guys. That's all I got to say. It looks loaded. It looks loaded. Even the Bengals got better. They went out and got La'el Collins at right tackle. What they needed? Linemen. They went and got one of the better ones available. So these are teams that are getting better, gotten better, and boy, it's going to be fun to watch next season. That's all I can tell you. It's going to be fun to watch next season. But let's get into some of this Kyler Murray news and things of that nature. So from what I read the last time I looked into this situation, Kyler Murray has stalled on the contract negotiation talks with the Cardinals. And this started a whole another uproar about him possibly not wanting to be in the franchise's future. Now, do I truly believe that the Cardinals will trade Kyler Murray? No, I do not believe that. But what this offseason has showed me is that people can be moved without believing they will be moved. Same thing with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens situation right now in their contract talks. I'm sorry. Listen, let me add this. I don't care how you feel about Lamar Jackson as a football player and a quarterback, but there are people out here arguing that he isn't worth the money that he is commanding or asking for. Is a damn lie. Just simply put, Lamar Jackson is the biggest reason why that team was even competitive last season. Let me remind you all, without him in the starting lineup, that team won 1 game out of 6 games. They were 1-5 without him. Despite the fact that they had 2 backups and what's my man's name? I forgot his name. But it's not Huntley. Man, his name just really blanked. But no, I gotta look it up now. Because if I don't know his name, guys, it's going to kill me. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. But my point still stands is that without Lamar Jackson, those teams are not competitive. Not those teams. That team isn't competitive. It's simply put that these teams, I keep saying these, it's simply put that that team needs him. They literally orchestrated and built that team around him. So to say that Tyler Huntley, there we go. I don't know why I couldn't say that. I did say Tyler Huntley too. But to say that he isn't worth the money he's demanded is blasphemous. Because what exactly has the Ravens done to ensure his success at the quarterback position? How much draft capital or free agent effort they put into running back? Who? J.K. Dobbins? Who else? Gus Edwards? Who else? Devontae Freeman? Who else? Le'Veon Bell? All those guys that I named to you are either washed, backup backs, or a guy who was just hurt. So who else is there? What you got at receiver? Sammy Watkins? Hollywood Brown? Rashad Bateman? A rookie who got hurt his first 6 games? Rashad Bateman, I mean. Who else is there? Who else was there before? Willie Snead? I mean, Boykins? I'm just saying. Where is this talent they put around him to say that the team is the reason why he's successful and they can replace him with something more cheaper and someone who actually be a quote-unquote throw a football good? Where is it? Where is the talent? That's all I'm saying. I mean, outside of Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson, who on that team on the offensive side you just say this guy is legit, elite? Who is it? I mean, maybe some offensive linemen, but skill position-wise, I don't see it. I mean, maybe people view talent and skill as a different thing from myself, but from my perspective, I don't see it. Outside of Mark Andrews, if I'm not counting Lamar Jackson, I don't see it. So I don't see how people are saying he does not deserve that contract. But back to my original point, I wouldn't be shocked if him and Kyler Murray could possibly have been moved. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. But would it be the end of the world and shock me? No, because as we've seen now, players are starting to take the NBA approach and they're starting to grasp on and hold on to their own destinies. I have no issue with that at all. In fact, I think that's the correct approach for a player. And with all that being said, I think the Ravens work out a deal with Lamar before the season starts. Now, Kyler Murray, I am not sure how that would end. We shall see, though. But we're reaching our 40-minute mark, guys. So last thing I want to do before we log off, I'm going to do a Q&A. I did post one last week. Let me make sure that there's nothing there. If it is anything there, then we can simply just leave it off here. But let me just make sure. Yes, there's nothing here, guys. So, but if you all do ever want to ask me questions, I do post a Q&A every single week. I will start posting them on Mondays starting this week. So if you got a question you guys want to ask, drop it on my YouTube, Last Word Productions, or you go on my Facebook, my personal page, or my sports page, Last Word Productions again. Drop your question there, and I'll be sure to give it an answer on this very same show. So thank you all for tuning in again. Please like, subscribe on the YouTube channel, comment below thoughts of the show, and y'all be sure to subscribe and follow anywhere you listen to the podcast. Again, whether it's Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts. Y'all just tune in, take a listen. Thank y'all again for your time. I'll see y'all in the next one.